King Harishchandra was the ruler of Ayodhya. He was a God-fearing, very straightforward, noble king. His wife was Chandramati and they had a son, Rohit. Once in the court of gods, Indra, Vashishta, Vishwamitra were chatting. Indra asked Vashishta,
O great sage, the kings of the Solar Dynasty are your disciples. Is there any who is brave enough to tread only the path of truth amongst them?
Vashishta was immensely happy at the question and said,
King Harishchandra of the Solar Dynasty is the one who will stick to the path of truth at any cost.
But Vishwamitra did not agree with this assertion. He rose and said,
O Vashishta, Indra has no better business to engage himself in. He asked you first out of regard for you, and you are telling that which makes no sense.
This resulted in a wordy duel between the two sages. As the arguments became strong, the whole court began trembling in fear. Even Indra became anxious about the outcome. No one dared to intervene. At last, Vishwamitra raised his hands in anger and declared,
Vashishta, if I do not prove you and your disciples false, I will change my name.
He shouted as if lightning had struck and left the court in a huff. From there, Vishwamitra came to the earth and went to his hermitage. He started evolving a plan to make King Harishchandra utter a falsehood. As he calmly thought, he realized that his task was not going to be as easy as he had imagined. Sometime later, Harishchandra performed a sacrificial rite, which involved gifting of a large quantity of gold. Vishwamitra waited for a time when Vashishta was away and visited Harishchandra. The king received him with great honor. He washed the hands and feet of the sage, made him comfortable, and inquired as to what brought him there.
Oh, welcome, great sage. May I know what brought you here?
I need a gift.
Harishchandra agreed to give whatever was asked for.
Okay, I need gold. Gold equivalent to...
Before Vishwamitra could finish the sentence, Harishchandra replied without any thought.
Oh, great sage, it is my pleasure. It is in my treasury, and you may take it.
Vishwamitra had not expected such a reply. It was his first defeat. Without giving expression to his disappointment, he said,
King, let it be in your treasury. I will take it when I require it.
He received the honors and went away to his hermitage. One day King Harishchandra was on his way to a hunting expedition. Vishwamitra learnt of this, went ahead of him, and sat down in tapas in the forest.
Here is again a chance to test him.
When the king passed by, Vishwamitra created an illusion of a female crying.
Oh, save me! Oh, save me!
Minister, can you hear the cries? Let me go and see if I can help.
Saying this, he ran towards the direction from which the cries were heard. The ministers and others followed. The sage's tapas was disturbed with all the commotion. The king who saw this bowed before the sage.
O sage, please forgive me. I have disturbed your tapas. As a penalty for that, I offer my kingdom and wealth.
What? These are meaningless words. Oh, you have uttered these words in a hurry.
O sage, I speak with all sincerity. I will keep my word.
Okay, I will hold you to it then. You already indebted to me. You owe me a heap of gold which you are holding for me.
I remember. I will give it to you whenever you demand, O Vishwamitra.
Okay, go back to your capital and arrange to hand over your kingdom and all your wealth.
Harishchandra happily left the place. Vishwamitra held Harishchandra to his words and went the next day to gain control of the kingdom and all the palace wealth.
O great king, I am here.
Welcome. I have made all the arrangements. Please accept my kingdom and all the wealth.
Harishchandra gave up everything and also the queen's ornaments.
O sage, what more would you like me to give you?
Who is the king of Koshala now?
Vishwamitra.
Listen to my royal command. You should leave my kingdom immediately with your wife and son. You may take only the clothes you are wearing.
Harishchandra obeyed with utmost devotion.
Your command will be obeyed.
Accompanied by his wife Chandramati and their son Rohit, Harishchandra started to leave the capital.
Before you go, Harishchandra, you will have to pay me the heap of gold which I had entrusted to you.
I have nothing which I can call my own, except the clothing you have permitted me to retain. Please give me time to discharge the debt I owe you. In a month, I will pay back the sum.
I agree. A month from now, I will come to collect.
Harishchandra took leave of his creditor amidst the cries of his subjects, who got wind of the actions of the truthful king.
O king, how can a casually uttered word bind you? Your virtue is ruining us all. You cannot desert us. We will come with you.
Harishchandra consoled his subjects.
It's your duty to serve the new king. The troubles are of my own making, and the subjects should not suffer on my account.
Vishwamitra commanded his troops to tell Harishchandra to stop this wasteful exhortation and to proceed forthwith out of the kingdom. Harishchandra at once stopped talking and left the capital with his wife and son. The three had to do manual work to earn their livelihood. They proceeded towards Kasi to have a holy dip in the Ganga. As they entered the gates of the holy city of Kasi, Vishwamitra was there to encounter them.
This is just to remind you. Today is the day you have to repay the debt you owe me.
Harishchandra counted the days and realized that Vishwamitra spoke the truth. Though dismayed, he immediately gained courage and said to himself,
I still have half a day left to repay the debt. I should somehow keep my word.
As he was thinking, Vishwamitra said,
Come on, Harishchandra. If you tell me that you will not pay me, or even say that you do not owe me anything, I will write off the debt.
O sage, it is a fact that I owe you the heap of gold. I will try to pay you by the end of the day.
The sage left, leaving Harishchandra to work out a strategy. he started thinking of ways he could raise money.
What if I sell myself as a slave to some rich merchant and clear the sage's debt? Oh no! What will happen to my wife and son if I do that?
Then Chandramati suggested,
My lord, why don't you sell me and our son and pay your debts?
What are you talking, my dear? How can I sell you and our son and make you a slave?
Initially he was shocked, but later he realized the truth. So he took his wife and son to the marketplace of the city. And loudly announced with tears in his eyes,
My son and wife are for sale. They will be good workers.
A Brahmin came to him and said that his young wife needed the services of a servant maid and offered to buy only Chandramati and said that he had no use for the boy.
I will buy your wife, but not the son. You see, he will not be of any use to me. He is so young that his tender hands cannot do any work. So, I will buy your wife.
Please, I will teach him to do menial work and make him useful in the household.
In that case, okay, I will buy both of you.
Finally, the deal was struck. The Brahmin bought them by paying an additional sum and took them to his house. Instantly, Vishwamitra appeared. Harishchandra paid him the entire amount he had received from the Brahmin.
This is not even half of what you owe me.
True, sage. I will give you the balance in a short time.
The day is coming to a close. You have not kept your promise. You have broken it. Just tell me you owe me nothing. I will set you free of your debt.
I deserve your anger, sage. I do owe you money and I have to repay your debt. I have just sold my wife and my son and repaid your debt in part. Please give me one more hour just before sunset. I will try to sell myself and repay your debt in full.
How many times should I be coming to you? Anyway, it is only 1 hour before sunset. Let me see.
Saying this, the angry sage went away. Harishchandra returned to the market and started crying out loud so that everyone could hear him.
I'm available to be bought as a slave.
Nobody was prepared to pay the price he was quoting. An executioner, the head of the local cemetery, stepped up to take a deep look at Harishchandra. He carried some birds. He had a skull in his hand and adorned himself with the garlands taken from the corpses. He also carried a long staff. In short, he was frightening.
I will buy you.
Who are you?
My name is Pravira, an expert executioner of the city. I am the guard of the cemetery at the southwestern end. My job is to dispatch those who are condemned to death, to gather clothes of the dead brought to my cemetery.
Harishchandra was wondering if he should accept to be the slave of Pravira. Vishwamitra appeared on the scene.
Why are you hesitating to be his slave when he is offering you money enough to repay my debt?
Harishchandra pleaded,
O sage, make me your slave for the balance of the money I owe you. I will obey your commands. I belong to the race of solar ancestry. Please save me from becoming a slave to a cemetery keeper.
Just tell me that you do not owe me anything more, and I will set you free.
How can I say that? I still owe you money.
So, you want to be my slave?
Yes, sir, I beg of you. Please take me as your slave.
I agree. Now that you are my slave, I discharge you from the debt. But I'm selling you right now to the cemetery keeper for the sum he has offered.
The executioner was happy that he got the slave he had bargained for. He paid the money to Vishwamitra and led Harishchandra away to his house near the cemetery. Harishchandra's job at the cemetery was to collect fees from those coming to bury or burn the dead and to gather the discarded clothes of the corpses.
Stay on this burial ground night and day and watch out for the corpses to arrive. Collect the fees strictly from everyone. Divide the collection into 6 parts. 1 part is for the king, 3 parts are for me, and 2 parts will be your wages. You are also to execute the criminals condemned to death.
Yes, sir.
Harishchandra worked for 12 months in this job. He was loyal to his master. His appearance was slowly changing like his master, with unkempt hair, shabby beard, and with protruding bones from his chest. He heard the crackling sounds of the burning faggots on the funeral pyres and the howling of the jackals. He reassured himself that he had done the right thing to avoid being untruthful and to avoid being unfaithful. A year passed by.
Oh, my son and wife, I long to see you both.
At the same time, Chandramati and Rohit toiled in the house of their master. He harassed them endlessly. They slaved from morning to evening.
Oh, I am helpless, my child. It's my fate that I have to watch the prince live like a poor boy. Hope there will be a day when all our trouble ends.
Next day, as usual, Chandramati started her work.
Son, go and collect faggots. We need some.
Without uttering a word, he went to collect the faggots in the wood. When he was working, he was bitten by a serpent. By the time Chandramati heard this, the sun was about to set. Chandramati's only solace was her son. Now even he was gone, and her hands were empty. But she could not afford to waste time in weeping and whimpering. The son's body was lying in the woods, and she had to cremate the body. She was all alone. She went to meet her master. The hard-hearted master said,
Oh, I see. But finish all your chores and then you can go.
Chandramati was terrified and collapsed when she heard those words, but continued her work. After finishing her chores, she left in search of her dead son. She found it and wept her heart out. Frantically, she lifted the body and went to the cremation ground. She had no money to buy firewood. She gathered together the half-burned faggots and placed her son's body on the funeral pyre. She was about to light the pyre. What an agonizing moment for a mother. At the same time, Harishchandra, who saw this,
Stop, stop! What are you doing?
Sir, he is my son. He...
Oh, pity. But whatever it is, first pay me the fees.
What? Fees for the cremation? I do not have.
Forgive me, woman. I cannot do anything. Please pay the fees and then you can proceed.
Chandramati pleaded with him that she was destitute and could not pay. Harishchandra refused to prepare for the cremation.
I can exempt my share, but I have to collect at least the king's share and my master's share.
He saw a little jewel of gold, which was the Mangal Sutra hanging from her neck, mostly hidden by her ragged clothes.
I think I can suggest something. I can see the Mangal Sutra, which you can sell and pay the fees.
On hearing this,
Oh gods, what sins have I committed? The sacred symbol of my marriage, which till now was visible only to my husband, should be seen by the cemetery assistant.
Harishchandra was startled. He peered into the face through the enveloping darkness and asked.
Who was your husband?
She replied, sobbing.
My husband was once a king. A cruel creditor forced him to sell me and my son in the market of Kasi.
Harishchandra saw what he had done and fell on the dead body crying.
Oh Rohit, darling son, my son. I'm your father here. Come to me, my dear child. Oh my God, what snake was it? What were you doing? How did it happen? Oh God, I can't bear this anymore.
They recognized each other and wept together, caressing the lifeless corpse of their son lying on their laps.
Chandramati, go and beg of your master the money needed for the cremation.
Chandramati had no options. She had to leave the cemetery. When Chandramati was running home, groping through the darkness, a man with a small bundle in his hand approached her.
Who are you? Why are you weeping? What are you doing in the middle of the night?
Chandramati related the story. The man, hearing the heart-rending story, said,
You don't have to go all the way to your master's house. Take this bundle. It has some jewels. You can use the jewels to pay the cremation fee.
Before she could speak a word, he thrust the bundle into her hands and ran away into the woods, into the darkness of the night. Chandramati was alone and frightened. She heard the oncoming sounds of horses' hoofs. Beams of penetrating light were also seen. They were soldiers on horseback in pursuit of the thief who had burgled a house and had stolen the jewels. The soldiers saw the woman with the bundle in her hands and thought that she was the thief. Her extreme poverty and ragged clothes made her look like a criminal in the eyes of the soldiers. She was arrested and taken to the court, and a complaint was lodged against her. The judge asked her why she had committed the crime. Chandramati narrated her story and explained how the bundle had come to be in her hands. The judge did not believe her. The judge condemned her to death before sunrise the next morning, and she was led away to the chief executioner of the city. Meanwhile, Harishchandra, who was on vigil near the body of his son, awaiting the arrival of his wife with the cremation fee, saw her being led in chains to the block for being executed as a criminal. Harishchandra saw this and could scarcely believe his eyes. He ran towards the place of execution, but was stopped on the way by his master.
Where are you going? Go fetch the axe and execute the criminal who is being led to the block.
Harishchandra was reeling under the impact of horror upon horror being heaped on him. He was rendered speechless momentarily. The execution had to go on. Harishchandra brought the axe and proceeded to the place of execution. Chandramati looked at Harishchandra with a stony, cold stare. Harishchandra took the axe in both his hands, closed his eyes in speechless torment of prayer, and started lifting the axe up over his head. And as he was bringing down the axe, he heard a voice. It was Vishwamitra. The gods and Vashishta gathered around in heaven, watching the ordeals of the king.
Harishchandra, why do you suffer like this? You are a great king. I will revive your son and release your wife. Now, it all depends on a single word.
Oh Guru, whatever happens, I cannot go back on my word. Word given is given.
Harishchandra again lifted his axe and was about to execute when his hands were seized from behind by Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra acknowledged his defeat to Vashishta and announced,
O Harishchandra, O great one, you and your wife have merited a place in heaven by your adherence to virtue in the most trying circumstances. All your troubles so far are merely illusion created by me.
The gods were pleased. Even Shiva and Parvati blessed them. The gods ordered that Rohit be revived. Vishwamitra narrated the origin and the consequence of the feud between Vashishta and himself. The Brahmin who bought the queen and prince was god Agni. The cemetery head, the outcast hangman, was none else than the god of death, Yama.
For all your truth and straightforwardness, I am gifting you my virtue and divine purity gained by hard penance.
Everyone blessed him with eternal happiness.